Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Talking About Rock. I'm Rob Edwards from Buffalo. Today, my co-host, Jerry Schmidt from Nashville, has a very special guest and a very special show for us. Jerry.
We have Whit Hubner and we have Mike Simmons from Nashville, Tennessee, both involved in the DIO birthday celebration coming Saturday night to the Basement East in Nashville, Tennessee. And Whit and Mike are here to talk about the project that's going down this weekend. I guess my first question is for Whit. I want you to talk about the Hub of Love and how this project came about and how you organized all these musicians together to benefit this great foundation, this Ronnie James Dio Stand Up and Shout Cancer Foundation.
Awesome. Happy to do so. So first part of that question is Hub of Love. Hub of Love is a umbrella production company that my sweetheart Shotzi Love and I put together. Just kind of gives us a base to work with on the various things that we do. We do music events, we do burlesque events, we do kind of whatever it is that we think would be awesome. We kind of put under the Hub of Love moniker. We've got some artists that we manage and things so that's just kind of our blanket business model. And then as far as this particular event, originally I was talking to Allison Blake Dellinger, and she had presented to me that she'd never been on the Basement East stage. And I thought, okay, well, I bet we can change that. And I started thinking, all right, if I was going to bring a show to the Basement East, now the Basement East had been destroyed by a tornado, but we knew it was coming back. But before the tornado happened, I was like, what would bring out that many people? What would really get people jazzed? And so basically, I started looking at birthdays of my favorite artists. And, every year on August 1st, I believe it's August 1st, Jerry Garcia birthday celebrations happen all over the country.
Yeah.
Like they're everywhere. Every city has a Jerry Garcia birthday celebration. And I'm like, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
What about my man Ronnie James Dio though? So I was like, we need to start the process of Ronnie James Dio being celebrated on his birthday. So I thought to myself, well, if I was gonna put something together, who would I call? And I went back in the to the beginning for me, and the first band I ever worked with was a band called Assault. Soon after I started working with them, they switched to Simmons because three of the members were last name Simmons, and loved that band from the beginning and put up their posters, and how we even drug Rob Halford out to a show after their concert at Municipal Auditorium. So we had a great fun run with Simmons. They were kind of the metal gods of Nashville. And so I reached out to Mike Simmons. I knew that he loved Dio as well as Richie Blackmore and, all the other artists Vivian Campbell, all the other artists. He's an amazing guitar player and an amazing person. And so I reached out to Mike and said, hey, Mike, what do you think about putting together a Ronnie James Dio birthday bash? We'll do it on his birthday, July 10th, 2020. We have plenty of time to plan for it. And he was like, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, you were in it like instantly. You were like, oh, dude.
From the get-go.
I'm so in. This is so happening.
We didn't even have a band then.
No,
there's like
didn't have
the story of how the band that I'm in now comes together is all about this event. Yeah.
You're talking about White in the Black.
Yes.
Yeah. So
last year, you want me to jump in with?
I'm ready for you. Okay. You do it.
Last year, we started talking about this, and I was like, well, who would I get to sing for that? Because the singer that we've had, he's great. He's not really a Dio type singer. Plus he lives out in East Tennessee now, Cash Eslow, love him like a brother.
Oh yeah.
And
Amazing.
I'd seen this guy, Charlie Kavanaugh, on some YouTubes from a few local shows, his band Rhino and a couple of other bands he was, and I was like, I gotta hook up with that guy and see if he would be into doing this. And so I just hit him up out of the blue, never met him before in my life, but I respected him from just just the little bit that I'd seen. I knew he could do it. And I remember telling Paul, and he's like, what are you talking about? I don't know who you're talking about. You sure this guy can do it? I'm like, dude, trust me. So he's like, yeah, I'd love to do it. And then COVID.
Yeah.
And
This
then
was like,
COVID.
Yeah.
this was in March of last year. We started talking about it. The timing couldn't have been worse. So what we did anyway was we stayed in touch with Charlie, and Paulie and I work at Blackbird Studio, and we just decided to call him over one day because we were like, we wanted to record Mistreated. I've always wanted to record Mistreated, and I finally had a singer that I felt like could do it. Had never worked with him before. We'd never done anything. Dude, he came in. Paulie and I put the basic track down. I even played bass. We didn't even have a bass player. And he came in and nailed it. That what you hear, if you've heard our little version that we've got out there right now, that's him coming in cold, first take. Boom. And we were like, holy shit. And Paulie looked over to me and he was like, dude, where did you find this guy? So one thing led to another, and we were like, man, we just, we need to make a band. So we got a band together. We found this amazing bass player, Tony Nagy. He became our bass player. We started working up, like writing some songs. We're doing some original stuff, but we're also doing like killer covers. We're doing like SATO by Ozzy.
Great one.
We were already doing Stand Up and Shout and like Neon Nights. We're doing, remember Altar of the King by Riot? You know that song?
I don't remember the song, but I remember the band Riot.
We're doing
I do.
that.
They opened up for Rush one year. I remember that. Right.
We're doing Mirror by Tigers of Pantang.
Wow.
If you've ever heard that song, it's kind of ballady, but still total metal. Charlie, can we cuss on this or no?
Sure, why not?
Fucking nails it. And it was a song.
It's metal,
so
metal.
These old songs that I love that I've always wanted to do. Anytime I mention one to him, he goes, sure, man, let's do it. So we've got a killer, like eclectic metal, all metal set. So then this year, Whit hits me back up. And he's like, dude, you think we could do it this year? And I'm like, fuck yeah, we're doing it, man. We're going to do it.
Immediately.
And, so now having this is like our debut really gig. We did one thing, like a Eddie Van Halen tribute, just played like 2 songs. But this, we're so excited to do this because DIO's always been my favorite singer of all time. Rainbow invented metal, real metal, in my opinion. The Rainbow on Stage album and the Rising album especially were just like, that's where the whole shift in metal happened, in my opinion.
Well, Ronnie had such a unique voice about him and a unique stage presence. You know what I mean? Even when he was starting in Rainbow and when he was at Elf, even before that, and when he stepped into the shoes of Ozzy, replacing him in Sabbath, it pumped brand new blood into that band. It was amazing.
Absolutely.
It was amazing with his style and his talent.
There was a person and his lyrics and just his whole thing, man. So awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, my cat's named Dio. So yeah, man. So this coming together and then us learning, we're doing 10 songs, and we've been rehearsing the hell out of them, and they're killer, and they're all like favorite cuts of mine. We decided not to go like the ones everybody knows. So like 4 songs off the first album, 3 songs off the Rainbow on Stage album, and 2 from the Sabbath, 1 from Mob Rules and 1 from Heaven and Hell.
Will you guys be performing Stargazer, one of my personal favorites? Or
It's one of my all-time favorites, but another band had
it's
that
in the
one.
set.
Yeah.
It is in the set for sure. That's
We're
actually
not,
one of the
we're not
ones
rolling
that,
with the keyboard player, so I didn't, Stargazer, you kind of got to have that.
yeah.
Yeah. I
So I
would
look
So in
say
forward
that
to
one,
Rainbow's kind of a
Allison Blake
representative
Dillinger is
game.
going to be singing it with a bunch of folks. The Warg Riders are going to be doing Stargazer, and they brought in Peter Gallinari to play keys on it. And Peter's amazing. He's playing a couple times during the show that night. I mean, there are over 40 musicians performing that night. And
Can't wait to hear their version.
yeah, I think
It's
I
like
think
my
you're gonna like it.
all-time favorite song.
I think you're gonna dig it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we've got some folks with some I guess degrees from the man himself. David Keith, the current drummer for Rainbow, is going to be playing. He's doing Gates of Babylon and Catch the Rainbow. He's going to be on those two tracks. And Chuck Garrick, who has played with Dio, is going to be jumping in with Light in the Black and doing Neon Nights. So we're really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the whole thing. Actually, I'm pretty pumped and psyched already, and it's only Tuesday night here, so it's going to be the highlight of my weekend.
Well, and to me, I'm looking at it as year one.
Yes.
We've sold a good chunk of tickets, which means that we're going to have a great night. I don't see any reason, and in my opinion, it happens on July 10th. If July 10th is on a Sunday or a Tuesday or a Thursday, that's when we do it. And I think Mike, other than loose talking about it, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't do this every year. It's just going to get bigger and bigger.
Oh yeah, totally down for it.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever Dio fans come together, there's just good energy, man.
Right.
Just because, you either know or you don't when it comes to Dio.
Oh,
you
absolutely.
You either have some preconceived notion that's complete bullshit, or and then you're in.
It's going to be a who's who of the Nashville rock scene. Correct. I saw all the list of names on the Facebook invite, and it's just about everybody I know from all the shows around town. Bowie's, Basement East, the Mercy Lounge.
Yep.
And
got Phil Schaus from Accept and Ace Frehley and Gene Simmons band and the Rock and Roll Residency. Phil's going to be there from the Talisman. We've got, it's just, Rainbow Black is going to open the night, and they've been carrying the torch as the Dio tribute band in town for several years. So they're super psyched to kind of kick it off because they've kind of been the torch bearers.
Is that going to band with
4 years
Steve
now.
Libby?
What's that?
Is that the
Yeah,
band
Steve
with
Libby.
Steve Libby?
Yep.
Yep, I've seen them before. They're excellent.
Yeah.
Wendy on bass, right?
Yeah.
Wendy on the bass.
Yeah. And they're going to kick the night off. Well, I don't know how much spoilers I want to give. So
you did quite a bit
on that.
I didn't expect you to give that much as you did.
Yeah. So, but they're gonna Rainbow Black's going to kick our night off, and it's an interesting flow. It's you're going to hear some songs from Elf. You're going to hear some songs from Dehumanizer that Heaven and Hell played live. So, and lots in between, a ton of Sabbath, a ton of Dio, a ton of Rainbow, and really, really fired up about it. It's been an amazing thing. And so you had asked earlier about, talking about the Stand Up and Shout Cancer Fund. Well, that was really, we've all been touched by cancer. Fuck cancer. It's such a nasty, horrible freaking thing that they still haven't fully figured out.
My father's struggling with it right now.
Huh?
My father's struggling with it right now. It's in remission, but yeah. So I'm so glad to be doing it for that.
My mom is on, I think, her third bout of breast cancer that she's beat now at 82 years old. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it touches everybody. It touches absolutely everybody. Really does. And so my thing was, you know what? There's nothing that Music City can do better than to gather to lend talent to support a cause. It's one of the beauties of being in Middle Tennessee. I know LA can do it. I know New York can do it. I know London can do it, probably Seattle, Austin, you know, New Orleans. Yes, there's other music cities out there, but we're just so blessed. So much of LA and New York has moved to Nashville for a variety of reasons. They live here. And so, but what I like is that this particular show isn't full of, it's not that we wouldn't like to have members of Skid Row and members of every band that lives in town. They're all great. But this is really Music City artists. These are people that eat, breathe, live, die here in this town. And it's going to be some newer artists. It's going to be some older, some more classic artists. And honestly, you know, to be able to work with Mike Simmons again is a real dream for me, because, I mean, my first stint was hanging up posters for the Brass A in Hickory Hollow. That was the beginning of my rock and roll career at 15 years old.
1983.
You know? Yep. So
we just come back from LA and we had a plan.
Yeah, it's definitely amazing. Jerry and I talk about it a lot. It's definitely amazing all the things that are going on in Nashville. You know what I mean? When people first would start to think about it, you would think about more type of a country music, but there's so much of a mesh of things going on there now. All kinds of music is there, you know. It's rock music. I think it's Southern music. It's jazz music. You know, I speak to Jerry, you know, weekly about the different events there. It's just the town is like the Mecca now, it seems, for music going on there. You know what I mean? And events, tons of events happening. Jerry, are you going to be able to make it to this event possibly and talk to some of those folks out there
on Saturday?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. I plan on it for sure.
Jerry's not gonna miss this. I know Jerry. He ain't missing this. You couldn't take a poll and knock him off. He's gonna be there.
Absolutely. I'll probably bring a entourage with me too.
Right.
And introduce some new people, some people that have never been exposed to DIO. And I'm sure they're certainly gonna love it.
You know, that's one of my favorite things, is that there are some folks that are just like, you know, I'm not that familiar. And it's like, wow, okay. So I don't know how you missed it. And obviously he's not putting out new product anymore because he's rocking up in the Great Gig in the Sky. But holy cow, you come out to the show and you'll have a brand new appreciation for what he did. And it was so many different flavors and textures. And I mean, you know, it wasn't all just in your face metal all the time. I mean, the Rainbow stuff was almost proggy, you know.
Yeah, it really was.
It was really intense.
That's one thing we've been going and we're like really digging into these songs. These are pieces of music, man. It's not just something that you can half-ass. You know, if you're going to play these songs, Rainbow songs, DIO songs, it takes some work. You know,
yeah.
I've been playing a long time, and there's things that I assumed were going to be easy. I've been going like, why do we pick this song?
Yeah.
Then once you get it, like we're playing Kill the King. Once you get that down, man, that is just.
Yeah, for me, it's when you stepped in and they put out the Heaven and Hell album, and it was just like nobody was expecting Sabbath to come back that strong. You know, and then when they decided to part ways and he decided to do a solo project, you know, it was like metal was reborn again. And it was like, if you're not checking this guy out, you know, this is the new sound of metal. Here it is in your face, stand up and shout. Ronnie James Dio is back. And even after that, Last in Line, it was amazing stuff. You know, when I saw him in Buffalo, amazing show.
Those shows, those first couple of tours were some of the best metal live that ever happened. It was such an exciting time. We were out in LA right after he had recorded that record. My brother and I actually ran into Ronnie at the Troubadour one night at a Wasp show. And this was like mid 83. And he said, we've got this record coming out. It's going to be called DIO. I've got these new musicians. I've got this great guitar player from England. And we had no idea what was getting ready to happen. We're just like,
Right.
oh, well, that sounds cool, whatever.
Yeah.
We had no clue what he already had in the can, man.
Yeah. What I can
It
remember.
changed.
Yeah. I can remember when Rainbow in the Dark came out and it was just like, wow, what is this? Where's the album? We need it now.
Right? Right?
Yep. That
So
video was badass. It was just the
Yeah.
whole thing was awesome.
Yeah. So my Ronnie James Dio story is from the 1985 tour, if I'm not mistaken, which would have been probably the Last in Line album.
Sacred Heart, maybe?
Oh, no, Sacred Heart. That's
Yeah.
what it was.
The
Yeah.
Dragon.
Sacred
Yeah.
Heart, yeah.
The Dragon, exactly. And we had caught wind that the band was staying at the Lowe's Vanderbilt Plaza. And I mean, we're punk kids. We got no business doing it, being anywhere around anything. But we went over there and hit the buttons until we found the right floor. And sure enough, we go into the room and there's Jimmy Bain and Vinny Appice.
Wow.
No Vivian, no Ronnie. But right after we walked in, Ronnie walks in and was like, hey, how y'all doing? I said, we're doing great. Amazing show, Ronnie. It was so cool. And I swear we're like 16 years old. There's like clearly we stumbled into this thing. And he was so kind and so intelligent and so gracious and appreciative. He wasn't security, get these fuckers out of here.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
know,
He loved his fans.
yeah, he loved his. He genuinely appreciated us for not only being fans but seeking him out. And you know, the one thing about Nashville, we really don't germ. We're not screaming, and it's not the Beatles. We treat artists like they're people. You
Yeah,
know,
we leave them
that's one of
alone.
the appeals of Nashville. And we did that night. We weren't freaking out or being dipshits or nothing. And he was just probably one of the kindest major artists I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, I've seen a couple interviews with him, and he always seemed so humble and so personable. You know, very approachable, very, you know, always spoke his mind. You know what I mean? But when he was on stage, he was a very commanding presence, very dominant. But when he was talking in his interviews, he was very humble, you know, and very happy and very lucky for the stature that he had achieved. You know what I mean? He seemed very humbled by them, very appreciative of all his fans, and you could always see that.
The biggest thing for us is we thought he was 10 feet tall. Yeah.
No, he was not a big man.
Sounds like it.
And then we
Yes.
standing next to it, we're like,
Yes.
oh, wow.
His voice, his voice was 10 feet tall, but he was he was not a large guy.
Sure.
Yeah,
Walk softly, but carry a big stick.
exactly.
Thus the name Elf for his first band.
Yeah, and you know what? That's been one of my joys of putting this together, is because I felt really strong about, you know, my love for Ronnie James Dio and the music that he played. But I had not gone back to Elf. I had not spent a lot of time with that early stuff. And so going back as the bands were pitching songs of what they kind of wanted to do and going back and listening to that, just realizing how awesome Ronnie was before he even got to Rainbow, you know?
Oh yeah.
And
even
so
his
I
doo-wop years, he was awesome.
his doo-wop, yeah, the Ronnie and the what is it? Ronnie and the somethings, you know?
The red caps, and then it was Ronnie.
Yeah.
And then Elf almost had a Skinner vibe
Yeah.
on some of their stuff.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
he was killing
Not
it.
a piano.
Man.
Yeah. Yeah, that was quality stuff. So I'm glad we've got some Elf in there. I'm glad we've got some of the late stuff that he did with Sabbath. You know, the Gamblers are going to be there. You know, we got 3 of the 4 Gamblers, and then Paul's going to sit in with them. Greg Mangus and Phil Schaus are going to do their thing.
Together, huh?
Yeah. Those guys are going to be awesome. Jay Darren Moshen really curious about the reaction Jay gets. Jay has sung for some of the biggest in the business, and he's got a couple of real choice ones that Ricky Dover's going to play guitar on, and Grady Steele's going to play bass on, and
Terrific.
play drums on, and Keith McQuarrie is going to play bass on. So really interested to see how that turns out. So
Yeah.
I just, the whole night's just going to be a big love fest for Ronnie. None of us are taking, the money's going to the cancer fund, and it's just, we've sold we've sold enough tickets that we could sell out and walk up, which is really exciting for a first time event. So yeah.
Well, you've done a great job promoting it as well as I have. I've posted quite a bit on my Facebook page.
Yeah.
To get people out there to attend. But I think for the most part, Ronnie James Dio just sells himself.
Yeah.
And I think people are always excited to see all the local musicians gather together at the Basement East.
Right.
Always a good time.
Man, thanks for having us on here tonight too, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate you guys coming aboard and pushing this to 8:30. I know we agreed at 7 p.m. earlier this week, but we had an interview with a Kiss cover band out of Cleveland, Ohio at 7 o'clock. So
Was that fun?
oh, it was great. Those guys were fantastic.
I love that stuff.
Well, it worked out better for Mike anyway, and I was free, so that's all good.
Yeah, we really appreciate you guys coming on, talking about your DIO Day celebration. The Basement East, pretty famous place there. A lot of acts going on there. I know it's awesome what you're doing. We hope we can chat with you more about other events, and I know Jerry's going to be there and probably streaming some of the show, and maybe talk to some of the folks. But thank you so much. We really appreciate what you're doing, and show the horns for Ronnie. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. The last thing I would say is if you're listening or watching this podcast and you live in a town that is not having a Ronnie James Dio birthday bash, your opportunity is coming up next year. You can start planning now. And I would love to see Ronnie celebrated across the world. I think there should be a birthday celebration for Ronnie James Dio in every city, and just send all the money to the cancer fund and let Wendy process all those checks, and it'd be a beautiful thing.
Well, before we leave you guys, are you aware of the live stream on Saturday to benefit the Dio Cancer Fund with the likes of Alice Cooper and Tony Iommi, Rob Halford and Sammy Hagar?
Oh yeah. And in fact, I reached out to Wendy through whatever means I could find online, through the Stand Up and Shout Cancer Fund and everything, and said, hey, we're going to do this thing. This was 2 years ago, back in March. We're going to do this thing and would love to have your blessing. Would love to, we're going to send you a check anyway, but we'd love to have your blessing. Never heard anything. And to my knowledge, they've not had a birthday celebration for Ronnie James Dio before this year.
Wow.
And
I think you're right.
I don't know that there was anything that I sent that had any bearing on what they decided to do. But if it did, fantastic, because they have got an amazing lineup for that streaming event.
No doubt.
It's so cool. And I think, just like Mike's legacy, when he passes to the great gig in the sky, is all of the art that he has created, just like Ronnie James Dio. His legacy is the art that he created, and there's no reason why we can't celebrate it for eternity.
Yep, over and over.
Take credit for it, Whit.
That would be great. Thank you so much, guys, for being on the show. We appreciate it. If you want to hear more about what's going on in your town, please email us at talkaboutrock@gmail.com. Please check us out on Facebook. And as always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel to check out more bands coming up. Gentlemen, great to speak to you. Thank you so much. Jerry, anything else?
On Saturday.
Yeah.
Coming up.
All right, guys. Stand up and shout.
Yeah.
Be in the front row.
Rock and
Awesome.
roll.